What's good, everybody? What's going on, man? It's Stephen Qualls II, aka Mr. Qualified. It's your boy. And we are back with another episode of the Wright Quality Podcast. As you can see, we are missing one of our friends and our co-host, but she's being studious, so that's okay. Good luck on the midterms, Ashley. Nonetheless, as always, we have one of our good friends, Emilio. But I don't even, if you know that name, if you know who that is off the government, kudos to you. I didn't know until I had to do my Googles. But yes, sir. Emilio, how's it going, man? Remind the people who you are, dog.
Hey, man. Say, man. Ashley's being studious. Grades will be posted soon, I promise. By the time this video posts, your grades will be posted. I promise you. It's been busy. This is, you know who you are if you're hearing this. You're all doing great, though.
Right.
Yeah. Miguel Brown.
I'm weak. We will hop right into it. It's exciting times, man. We got postseason in baseball. Might as well just make a pit stop right here. Might as well talk about it a little bit. Might as well discuss it just a tinge.
Come on now.
Brewers, I know y'all thought because we don't talk baseball much that we wasn't hip. We hip. We watching. We seeing what's going on. Brewers currently, as of time of recording, went away from the NLCS. Not calling nothing too early. We just saying we'll win away. That's it. That's all. You know what I mean? But exciting times, man. But like postseason with baseball, NFL is picking up. WNBA is wrapping up. NBA is about to start. So this is one of the better times, you know, in regards to sports, man. A lot going on. But
gonna get that sports solstice soon. Sports solstice soon. Say that 8 times fast.
8 instead of 5?
It's more. It's harder. I mean, 5, I feel like we're linguists. We got that.
Fair. Well, how are we feeling about the Brewers, man?
I put on my glasses so we can correct this.
We interrupt we interrupt regularly scheduled programming just to correct ourselves a little bit. You'll hear throughout this episode a lot, as you probably just heard before this interruption, that we said sports solstice. That was incorrect. And as educators and people in education, it is only right that we correct ourselves for you all. It is sports equinox.
And I'll say it as well as the main perpetrator, Sports Equinox. Sorry. Summer solstice was on my mind. The alliteration was there. I'm a big fan of alliteration. No excuses, though. As an educator, gym teacher, and a communications major, have to, be better. So for my students, I apologize for all those that were expecting me to be better. I will be. So that's why I have the glasses now.
And now back to regularly scheduled program.
Feeling good, feeling great. Got a text at the end of the first inning because at first, let's just read the quotes. You know who you are, but we won't say any names. He's an enigma online. He's an enigma as a person. Will remain anonymous in this. But I thought it was funny that at first. We'll go with where it all started. Not about his contract, his union contract. He said, you got to get into baseball. These playoffs are crazy. I said, Yankees, Reds, game 3 going to be great. This is when wild card was happening. Passed out after I got dinner, but I saw Dodgers down 2-0 in the first. They end up winning. And low-key got to be a lot this year. Hopefully this is the year the crew doesn't fold come playoffs. Because if anyone knows Brewers history or Wisconsin sports history in general, phenomenal. Always. They're like regular season. They look great. Playoffs fold. We know the Bucks have done it. Packers last few years have done it. Brewers, you may not know because we don't do anything in the playoffs. It's the same story every year. It's like the worst of the 3.
Thanks.
Like Niger Morgan might be like one of the peaks that we have in Brewers history. And if you know. But so that being said, he said Dodgers put BTA around 6th inning. They're repeating. Who do the Brewers play next? I was like, Padres or Cubs. He said, about to get smacked if the Cubs win. This is pre-Saturday. I said, LOL, okay. I said, SMH. It's 2:13 on a Saturday. I thought they were gonna have their way, Ant. He said, "Man, I ain't never heard someone say go Brewers in my life." Wait, I didn't say any names. I don't think I said any names. That's a
Definitely slipped the name in there.
general name. There's don't rewind. He said Brewers in the World Series sounds wrong. I said, well, get used to it, but I need it. And then fast forward yesterday, 8:25, he said BTA. I said, dog, they literally had 2 home runs in the first inning on us last time, and we 10-3'd them. Let's talk after, bud. Next text at approximately bottom of the first. Terrible stadium design, SMH. I did in far speak too soon. I apologize. I said, I'm speaking to my phone like you're in this car right now. He said, I'm just going to shut my mouth. All quotes here. You can't see the name here. Let me censor that one. Boom. Oh, that was, and then sorry, you saw the Star Wars reference. That was after the Contreras home run that made it 4-3, and then we had the 3-run shot afterwards. I'm like, it's just poetic at this point. Like, we need this. Like, we really need this. I don't want to say too much, but it's like now we just need to win game 3. We need to. I wanna win in a convincing fashion, and then we have to face the boogeyman and the Dodgers, who we swept all year. So it's like that's the real boogeyman, where it's like this is the true test if we are the real deal or not. Like this is going to excuse all words and give us all confirmation. This is anti Bucks Finals 2021, if you want to put it, where it's like we face Craig. First of all, storylines are amazing. Craig Counsell, I gave Ari the ick after screaming after that 3-run shot because she turned around and like loss of aura. It's one of those it's one of those guttural screams where it's like I say to the phone, I'm like, a 3-run shot would be great right now. 2 outs. We've been doing it all game. Can we, I said it'd be great. Man went yard. Like it's surreal because like if you've been in the mud as like a homer, as a homer has been,
yep,
unprecedented. So it's like now it's like I'm almost scared because now it's like out of all of these years that we've done, I mean, we can go back to last year, but it's happening year after year. I mean, like we're heckling, we're schmeckling. My God, why can't I remember his name? Pete Alonso for like the entire game, and then cracks a shot to end it on us. Like, I mean, like it's like it happens every year. The Nationals do it to us, and then I think they go on to win, or at least go on to like the championship. Like it's happened year after year where it's like it's miserable. So now I'm just like,
hey man, say man, I'll
just get if we can get past the Cubs, doors open. So
look, baby steps, right? Like we not trying to speak too soon.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Right. Like hopefully by the time this episode is out, this has all already been spoken into existence.
Formality.
You know what I mean? Formality. You know what I'm saying? But
oof.
You gotta love it. You gotta root for it. And when it feels poetic, when it feels like this, when you just think of how it all has kind of happened up to this point, you gotta think that it just might be time. It might be time. That's all we say. That's all.
It's just I'm not used to the glaze. Like they're like, oh yeah, when teams used to say they want to be like the Rays, now they're saying they want to be like the Brewers, and I'm like, who said this? Like
no one ever.
literally. But it's like, so it's like we gotta win. What we gotta strike while the iron's hot, because it's like we know teams like us, the cycle's quick. They want to be us because it's like we find good guys or like diamonds in the rough, make them, too expensive, and then they go on to the next spot, and it's like we just got to kind of deal with it. So it's like Miz is only going to be here for how long? Like my girlfriend's like, oh yeah, my girlfriend already said. Ari said he's so young, like, but I'm like, yeah, that's the scary part. Some team is gonna buy put $1 billion. I'm like, LA or New York's gonna put $1 billion on his head for like 10 years, and then it's gonna be like, all right, well, that was fun for the year and a half. So come on.
Gotta enjoy it. Gotta strike while the iron's hot.
And my anonymous friend's quote, BTA.
Indeed, as always. But yeah, let's hop into the main thing as we always do. Keep the main thing the main thing. NBA. We are now through media day. We are now through training camp, and we are in the midst of the preseason. Do you watch preseason games?
I used to be locked. Now I get what adulting looks like.
No,
I
truly.
drove 12 hours to Indiana for a Nike cross country meet. 2 girls broke 17-minute 5Ks.
Tough.
No. No, yeah, but yeah, that 12-hour drive cooked me. So there's a lot of preseason. Shouts out friend of the show, Sam, owner of Charles E. Fromage. Go get a drink. I don't know if we could free promo. Pay me, Sam. Something. I was going somewhere with this. He texted me. He was like, "Oh my god, like Giannis ain't playing. Like what's going on?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, there's rest." He's like, "Oh, it's preseason." He thought it was game 1 of the NBA season. I'm like,
No.
adulting, cooking.
No, truly. Understand it.
But I've seen clips. I'm not too engaged. Like the Ben Simmons hit a 3. That was like the last real preseason moment I remember.
Whatever.
There's no real storylines now about like who's coming out in preseason. We know what the teams are going to look like, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, no, I don't keep up either. Like if it's on and I'm just like casually watching, I might turn it on a little bit just to, see some of the action for a little bit. But no, I'm patiently, waiting until the regular season. I'm perfectly fine with that. But a few stories coming out of training camp, media day, things of that nature. First and foremost, let's start with some of the media day takeaways. Let's talk about Bron, right? Like by this point, we all know we've been duped into thinking that he was making a retirement decision. He indeed.
See, I didn't even hear that he was making a decision.
Yeah.
Until like he was like, "Oh yeah, like I put the phone away," and he's like, "Oh, LeBron's making a decision." I'm like, he's not making a decision. He's playing this year. Like it's an ad, and it was it Hennessy?
Yeah, it was Hennessy. It was about Hennessy. So, well, my thing was my whole thing was if he was going to announce his retirement, I do genuinely feel like he would have done it well before this.
On Kai Cenat's stream. He would have done it on time on the last Mafia-thon.
Maybe, potentially. But for as much as he even said during media day that he's not waiting on Bryce, I believe that he may not be. Here's my thing. I believe
he can make it. I believe mom don't got to worry about him not being at home. All the kids are with me.
I'm weak as hell. But no, I'm saying I don't think he's waiting on Bryce because I do legitimately think that Bryce will not come out after his first year. I don't think it's the same narrative as Bronny. I don't think Bryce has that same pressure. So unless he like has that type of year and genuinely has that interest and is ready, I don't think he'll come out after year 1. And I do think that after this year, and depending on how it goes, because he's in the last year of his contract too now, Bron is. So it will be interesting to see next offseason where he lands. And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point this does become his last like season in his mind. But I don't think he's going into this season wanting to make that decision. I just think time will truly tell. But we'll see. Maybe the Lakers are a little bit better. Maybe he feels like they have a fighting chance. Maybe he feels like it's worth staying around or going elsewhere in the league. Who knows, right? But
is it selfish of me to want to see him get to 50? Because he could really pull Vince Carter and just be an old vet that plays like 15 minutes a game, popping the 3 and slashing every. Come on now.
When you say get to 50 as in play till 50 or get to 50,000 points?
He could definitely Jared Dudley his way to 50. Like if he really like if he wanted to, he could take a nice like 10 mil a year just to be a vet, the Udonis Haslem, and then he could be the super Udonis Haslem, so he could still come in and hit a le censored 3.
It's not, but okay, it's not selfish. But it's also just not realistic, only because of the player that Bron is, right? Like, it'd be different if we were talking about a Jared Dudley or a Udonis Haslem. But when it's Bron, like, if Bron can't play at the level that he's been playing at, or if he can't play at a level beneath that, but be playing winning basketball, like with a chance to actually contend for a championship, he's not gonna do it. So
But it's this. That ain't ever gonna
it's
go away. Because if Chris Paul could play at his limited state, at his limited stature, at the same rate, I feel like Bron could go. Come on,
but
not
this
to
this
not to slight any of my
CP.
short kings out there represent.
This it for CP though. This CP last year.
That's what I'm saying. Bron's got like 5 more. If CP got to this year, granted, one of the greatest point guards that's ever lived, Bron can make it. Come on, bro. You're telling me that Bron can't make it to 50 with how the comp is looking?
I mean, you got to realize 50 is like 9 years away from him, though. Like, he just turned 40, 41.
Isn't that 42?
You can't, you're still talking about over 5 years.
Hold on. Hold on.
He's 41. I
He's
think
only 40.
he either turned 41 or 42 this year. I think it might be 41.
I could see a decade more. Well, this will be a debate for another time. But Warriors, yeah, how are they looking?
Interesting. I'm not sure what to make of how the Warriors are looking, to be honest. Sign Horford. This was, anticipated. I like it for them, to be honest. I think Horford is a great fit for their scheme and a great fit next to Draymond, which still gives you the option to play Draymond as a 5 if you want to go small ball. But I don't know, you sign Horford, you sign Seth Curry. I guess that works. I guess everybody's in the business of signing brothers now. They signed Kuminga, so they finally end that saga. But even the deal and kind of all the terms around it now, I think they're bringing back DeAnthony Melton. I think they're bringing back Gary Payton the second as well. So they're kind of bringing back pretty outside of Horford, I mean, Curry is replacing, whoever, kind of left in a sense, but similar roster. They don't necessarily get younger. Not that they necessarily need to. This team is kind of leaning on that experience, but not sure. Outlook on the moves they made and what you think this season looks like, and more specifically for Steph, because I feel like that's been the conversation now, like maximizing like the rest of Steph's window and things of that nature. So what is the outlook on this season, given, where Steph is at, his level of play, and, them still having championship aspirations?
They give me big Chiefs vibes. If I gotta lay it out any other way, where it's like their season could look however, and it's like by the time they get to playoffs, you got that name that could drag you across with no thumb, half of a chicken bone, shoestring, and one of his cousins,
Mm-hmm.
and a lacrosse player. It's rant, like I feel like Al Horford gives them a bit more of an identity. They've always missed a good screen setting center that could, I mean, they didn't have one that could pop. And now
Yeah.
that gives them more space to operate where Draymond can be the primary roller. You don't have any, I mean, the lob threat is always, was always a staple, but now it's like you're getting another, wrinkle like Mo Spates, like Pat Eric was more of a 3, but I'd say Mo Spates, where it's like that was like prime Splash Brothers era, where it's like Draymond could really operate and everyone was out. That was that lineup where it's like they'd put up a 20 in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I like it. I'm not gonna hate. I think like in a GM's mind, it makes sense. It's just everyone's gonna say age, but also come playoff time, like sometimes the one that's longer in the tooth may see more favor. And Al Horford is a professional fouler without fouling, so it's like you got a couple of them guys over there. So
Yeah.
that ain't bad. It's just how do those young guys step up in those roles? How does Kuminga look in these lineups? Like I feel like think about the Warriors, they just lack the buy-in that old Warriors teams had, where it's just like you have guys that are hungry to get theirs and to have their shine, but it's like it's still Steph's team. It's like why did Poole go? because it
Oh,
felt
we know why Poole went. We know why Poole had to go.
sorry, forgot about that. No, yeah. But I mean also like they talk about that play where it's like that's a little like that's kindling into that fire that's set.
Yeah,
That's like a piece of where all that goes. So it's like does
not the strength
Kaminga
in
find
numbers Warriors anymore.
yeah, like because they got that shit and it was good, but then like when it didn't work, it felt like it yeah, not it wasn't as cohesive as those teams of old. Like take back to the Brewers when Miz had that interview after the game. It's like, yeah, it's just like we're just really good friends. It's really cool. And like, it was a nice experience. And I feel like early Warriors, that's how it was, where it's like, there wasn't that expectation. They're fresh, they're hungry. And it's like that buy-in is like way different to when you're like chasing ring 5, you have a set nucleus, but not everyone's growing together. You got, young guys, you have to like coach through it. And it's like, that's a different dynamic.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Like their identity is still intact, but I think it's a huge difference like when you have a core nucleus, but you don't like the team itself is not growing together. Like a lot of people speak about the Warriors trying to pull off this 2 timeline thing, and I think it just goes to show that like I don't know if that is necessarily possible like in the
Yeah.
NBA. Like it's one thing to have a succession plan, right? Like it's one thing to know here's my current star. Here's a star that we'll have that can play with this current star now and can also become the new star later, whenever that current star is done or leaves or whatever. But I don't think
Yeah.
you can have 2 different kind of like cores and be trying to contend for a championship while developing this young talent that like needs that room for development without the expectations of a championship contender, right? So I think
And I think Al Horford is a good voice in that locker room, having had played with the young teams that have grown over time and have gotten it. So
well, and I will say the difference is this team, though, this team is a little bit different because even with the younger players on the roster now, they've been there for at least 2. I think Podziemski has been there for 2 years, right?
yeah,
Post is kind of like the only real rookie. Jackson Davis has been there for 2 years now. So like even the younger guys have been around kind of long enough to really understand what they're trying to do. And maybe they have a better grasp of what this means for the organization, what this means for Steph. And I think that there might be a little bit more buy-in this season. But when you go back to Horford, that voice, Steph is already a voice. I think Jimmy also now can be a voice, right? And bringing Buddy Hield back. So like we said, the roster is not bad. Is if the buy-in will be there, and I think this is the year that they may be able to rely on the most consistency because I don't think Kerr will have to come into the year playing all 12 guys, right? I think you can come in with an identity. You can come in kind of understanding what you want that rotation to look like, what it needs to look like, how you're going to survive the 82 game season and be ready for the playoffs. So even in a stacked West, I mean, whenever you have Steph, you're always going to be a threat. And I think we've seen no matter where they land, whether they fall in the top 6, whether they have to be in the play-in, like more than likely they're going to get in if they're healthy, and they're going to be a hard team to put out. Like simple as that. So I agree.
yeah,
I agree with the Warriors. Before we go into Bucks, because I want to give that the time to kind of sit and not have to like cut away from it if we don't have to. Back to a few of the media day takeaways. Both Durant and Jokic talked about wanting to sign extensions with their current teams. Situations are a little bit different, right? But thoughts on what this looks like for Jokic, given how things have looked specifically since his run, and then kind of thoughts on Durant, given where he's at in his career, where the expectations are for Houston, and kind of the window that he's operating with right now.
I love it when I hear that from KD because I'm like, another year of my OGs not
Yeah,
retired.
yeah,
So love that. No real implications. I think that's good for Houston. To know that he's got not a one-track mind of like, oh, this doesn't work, I'm gone. So I like that. And then for Jokic, I think it's not that interesting either because I feel like all those talks about him maybe not going anywhere. Nuggets not like talking about like, oh yeah, like we'll talk to him, like not really like confirming whether or not they're gonna sign him. I feel like that was more like smoke that wasn't really, anything. Is more so like they're gonna let Jokic like decide if that number is good and if there's better that he can get or that they can leverage.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for both teams because it feels like it stabilizes their identity. It stabilizes, any, you know, stress that you feel around trade deadlines or like anything where it's like you feel like the bubble is ready to burst. Cause like how many times have they tried to, they just said, oh yeah, like Bucks had talks with the Knicks about Giannis. It's like makes people's hearts skip a beat, but it's like for a Bucks fan, it's like they've been trying to push this man out. So it's like the fact that teams can get news about their primary guys being like, hey, like I'm willing to stay longer.
Yeah.
I like that. More that I hear that, the better.
That's real. And I think it's interesting to hear the the different trajectories of like a Jokic and a Giannis, right? Because granted, Jokic's ring came 2 years after Giannis, so he's not in the same boat in terms of his ring being further away, nor has he had the amount of first round exits, that Giannis has had recently. But when you look at a team that won that ring, right? But then came back the next year, didn't make the conference finals, didn't make the conference finals this past year. And it's like, okay, it's getting past the first round now, like the only kind of like signifier of like it's okay to not hit the panic button because this is still a team that you're expecting or that you're thinking, especially given the lead player, that okay, like they should be getting back to, if nothing else, the conference finals. And I say that to say you don't hear the talk around Jokic not nearly as heavily in regard to what his next move is or him having to leave. And that might be because he still has Jamal Murray. That might be because on paper, you're probably looking at the Nuggets versus the Bucks as having a better roster or a roster that better fits, Jokic and his timeline, right? So I guess I get that, but I just think it's always interesting how players kind of approach that. Because to your point of an organization wanting to hear that, I think as an organization, I'm sure the Bucks would want to hear Giannis's kind of like, full blown commitment to the organization. And not saying that he's obligated to do that, right? But I think that it's tough given the whirlwind that we've been hearing about Giannis and really for an extremely long time now, right? But I think the conversation gets exhausting. And I mean, I guess that's a really great segue into like the outlook for the Bucks this season, because I feel like only Bucks fans, are the ones being optimistic about what this season could look like and optimistic about the reasons why Giannis should stay in Milwaukee. But I mean, even when you consider kind of this Knicks talks, it's just like, okay, in whatever trade the Knicks would have done, right? Like, I don't think that even if the Knicks keep Brunson, of course, and maybe you keep one other member of that core and Giannis, like, you just still don't convince me that it's enough. I just feel like we've seen around the league that forming a big three, especially if that big three is not well balanced, right? Like, it doesn't constitute and it doesn't guarantee, a championship. So if it's about legacy, if it's about winning, like chasing it in an organization that you think just has more room to make a better roster or whatever the case may be, seems pointless. But nonetheless, all that aside, I'm excited about this season. Yes, there's partial bias as a Bucks fan, but also given the struggles that we've had the past 2 or 3 years, I don't feel like we could have had a better turnaround in regard to a roster based off of what our struggles were. You can make the argument that our guard play is in question because we don't have a standout, like definitive lead guard, so to say. We know Kevin Porter Jr. has been announced to be the starter, for the season, and I think it's a great opportunity for him. How he'll maximize it, yet to be seen, right? But I think he has the capability to be a productive starting point guard in the league, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, given all the moves, like given, and not so much the narratives of the media and everything, but all the moves and kind of like even the moods you might have seen a little bit or you might have heard about coming from training camp. What's your outlook for the Bucks this season, man? Bias take and non-bias take.
I mean, my bias take is my non-biased take because let's be real. Like people, I mean, echo chambers, whatever. But it's like I'm closer to the data, closer to seeing what this is. Let's go. Let's talk cons. Cap space. Double paying Dame to sign Miles, which I'll touch on why that doesn't matter, why we shouldn't care. No real like second fiddle. We got like a good. I mean, you have Miles. Don't get me wrong, but but we'll talk about why that doesn't matter as well. And then Doc. I don't feel the way, but I get the narrative. I get trust. We'll talk that too. That's the big three. We'll start with that. So we'll start with what was the first one I said? It was cap space.
Yes.
Who cares? Because Jimmy Haslam is rich, and that's on them. And if they're willing to pay that, awesome. That's why we brought him in, because we didn't have enough money. And not happy with who he is as, an owner, or what he's about, whatever. But if he's willing to pay Dame and we just eat that, yeah, we don't have as much flexibility, but it's like a window's a window. So let's play through that. Cool with it. Great piece that fits. That's why it doesn't matter. No real second star. It's giving me Pacers, which we've saw a lot of them and they killed us a lot. And I think that less ball dominance, the better. I think if we have one primary target and a lot of spacers and defenders, cool. Is what we've been asking for. So it's like, let's play to our pace now. Like everyone can run the floor. Everyone can get up and down. Like Brooke was great, but now it's like, this is what we've been waiting to see a little bit more. Like us get up and be the mobile team that we need to be with Giannis, where it's like, play in your strengths. Boom. 2, doesn't matter. Doc. Yeah, like we could talk about the playoff woes and like where, the 3-1 leads and XYZ, all that. I don't know. Like, I'm just not compelled. I feel like our team is good enough to win without Doc. Like, outside of who he is and what he does, we got caught by a super hot team last year. Like, let's look at Doc's loss with us. The Pacers were just super hot. They made it to the finals. They did it to everyone they faced. Granted, it's us who started it. Same with the Heat. The last time, it's like, super hot. They started with us. It was what it was, where it's like, blame all of those coaches, which, yeah, you can. There's definitely faults in whatever coach makes. But how much do they really get coached? How much is on the player? I feel like coaches affect slobs, blobs, and losing a locker room. And those are the 3 things that like you could really be judged on, like how much you score out of a timeout. And then if, there's reports of like, we don't like this guy. And like the players haven't said anything. It's like, I frankly don't care. They should like, coaches are just their vibes managers. If Doc is a good vibes guy, cool. So if the players are just going to go play, that's really on them to win a game at the end of the day or not. We can't say that our players have not done enough to win in a lot of these series too. Or we haven't been in the worst position too. Having all of our guys. Dame wasn't there both years. Giannis wasn't there 2 years ago. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's coaching that plays a part, but also like fortune and, injuries. So.
Yeah. And as far as the cons, like I pretty much, I mean, yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said, because people will talk about the cap space and how we're, dead in that sense. And that's a part of, why we have nothing to offer Giannis. But it's also like we're worried about the wrong thing, right? Okay, like Giannis wants to win right now, right? So what the front office do? Try to put the team in the best position to win right now. So I agree with you. Like everybody talks about the waving and stretching, like Dame being the worst move of the summer. I get it. Everybody sees Milwaukee as frantic, as desperate, whatever,
But
Right.
you want us to eat that contract and
That's
not have a player play? Like,
that's my
we're gonna
question.
take that too.
But Miguel, I also had to realize it's never the narrative is never going to benefit us because the whole 2 years he was here, it was Dame's not happy. Dame should never came to Milwaukee, yada yada yada. Now, mind you, Dame was very productive. I'm never going to sit here and make it seem like Dame wasn't productive in his
We're
time
the most
in
potent
Milwaukee.
offense in like
Yeah.
in NBA history.
So
We just
like
didn't have the playoffs.
yeah, that and outside of having the most potent offense, like you can have the most potent offense when you have two players like that, but that doesn't mean that you have a great team, and that doesn't mean that you have a team that's built to contend for a championship. Simple. And we had one of the oldest rosters in the league. Wasn't doing ourselves any favors, right? So I agree with that. I think if you have the chance to sign a Miles Turner, who is a significant upgrade almost solely by age to Brook Lopez,
And from your rival team.
and from your rival team who is already down a star. Like, I just don't think you pass that opportunity up.
While the iron's hot.
Exactly. So I think you look at that. I think because everybody, of course, like loved who Middleton was, right? And I think that everybody got used to Giannis having some form
February.
everybody got used to Giannis having some form of a 1B or a 2, whatever the case may be, right? And I guess I get and I don't get the fear of him not having it, because if anybody was watching the Bucks last year when Dame was out, Giannis probably looked as energized and as engaged as he has in the last 2-3 years, being able to have the ball in his hands. And the difference is 4 or 5 years ago, when Middleton had his breakout and when Drew came, Giannis was not able to do all of this. Like, Giannis had not grown into the player that he is now. But now he can be more Jokic-esque, and you can play through him a multitude of different ways, whether that's the post, whether that's him bringing the ball up. But also, I think if he trusts these younger guys, not so much to, I don't think it's about like expertise in having to have a Dame or a Middleton, but you got these young guys who just have energy. And sometimes it's about Giannis maybe wanting to say, I don't want to have to sit in the half court and create offense for the entire game. Let's run. Let's get up and down. Let me get some easy buckets. Let me get y'all some open threes. That might be the key. And it doesn't mean that they're going to run away with anything in the NBA. But I think this idea that they're going to be subpar is confusing to me.
I'm taking the over on every metric that they have on us, like win total, place seeding. I'm like playoff. Oh, I'll throw a championship bid in there.
And I'm
it's
just,
like is the East. I don't.
just let the season play out, right? Like, is Giannis gonna have one of these monster seasons? Maybe somebody's gonna be getting touches and somebody's gonna be primed for some type of a breakout year. Like, somebody's gonna have the opportunity to get shots.
I feel like him having extra targets to find, like, that doesn't hurt anything.
Not at all. You know what I'm saying? And I think having specialists, like you have specialists and you have people who with larger roles have the ability to break out. Back to my point about Kevin Porter Jr. You, with the ability to have the ball in your hands more, with the ability to have more shots that are going to be deemed or considered to be yours, I think he can average more points and do more. I think the same goes for a guy like Cole Anthony. Really, all of the KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr.
I think Gary Trent is gonna see the best minutes of his life,
and
I think that is the one right there.
And I think that if you think about, like, we wanted him to really be the starting two guard last year, and he just kind of hit a slump, and like he started coming off the bench, but he eventually got that starting spot back at the end of last year. I think if he's going off of that momentum, and now that he feels relatively entrenched, like in like being, comfortable with the majority of the roster, I think he's going to slide into that starting two guard spot. And like you said, I think he's going to benefit immensely from knowing he's going to get those shots, knowing he's going to get those touches, knowing that he's expected to be that guy and be who he showed himself to be last year toward the end of the season in the playoffs. I think that confidence, like, goes a long way. So I think the optimism of Bucks fans shouldn't be seen as delusion and just this idea of hanging on to Giannis, but like, some fans actually know ball. And I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited about the roster and this year just because of the uncertainty. There is no team in the Eastern Conference, as they are currently constructed and with their current health status, that is proven. The Cavs are not proven. The Knicks are not proven. Not taking nothing away from the Knicks. I do think they are ultimately probably the biggest threat in the East, given their roster and if they're healthy. Still improving when it comes to championship pedigree, right? Even the teams you're excited about, the Magic, the Hawks, like whoever you want to throw in there, still unproven. Like still have to like get it out the mud when it comes to getting that championship. So when you still have a player like Giannis, and then you have some of the players around Giannis that you have, players looking for that opportunity, players kind of on their second chance, players trying to prove themselves in a sense. As far as this season, 25-26, there's a lot to be excited for, a lot to be optimistic for, unless you're just a Giannis hater, or unless you're just a Milwaukee hater. And in that case, you hear me, right? But we move. Yeah, man, that's all we got for y'all this week. Things are ramping up. Like we said, what you call it, the sports solstice. That's what sports solstice.
Yeah, man, we're about to have everything.
Exactly. And that's why that's going to be the title of this episode. But until the next episode, until next time you see us, we'll catch y'all then, man.
Go Brew Crew.
Peace.
Come on now.